Hello, I'm Alex Mansfield, the host of Manny Talks Shooting, and welcome to another episode. This is the shooting podcast where I talk to individuals all across the shooting industry. We'll talk competition, self-defense, concealed carry. If you like this content, check out our YouTube channel, Manny Talks Shooting. And without further ado, let's get to this episode. The title sponsor of Manny Talks Shooting is Go Fast Don't Suck. So if you need match banners for your match, check them out. They also have an awesome selection of pre-designed and customable jerseys. Don't forget, they are the home of the dry fire decals for your walls, so get those too. They've also got a plethora of patches and stickers that are hilarious and true. You know, Go Fast Don't Suck has a lot of things that you'll need on the range and off, so please check them out at gofastdon'tsuck.net. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to another installment of Manny Talks Shooting, the shooting podcast out there for you to enjoy and listen on your favorite Monday morning car ride. So, as it is 9 a.m. probably when this releases, you'll be listening in the car, but it's all good. So today, we are sitting down with a man who likes to shoot cameras as just as much as he likes to shoot rifles. It's Riley Fox. How you doing, Riley?
Good about yourself.
Doing fantastic. Thanks for sitting down with me and doing a podcast. It'll be fun.
Absolutely.
So Riley, the first question I ask everybody on this show is, who are you and how'd you get into shooting?
So I got into shooting over 15 years ago. A cousin of mine shot a lot of 3-gun, some open USPSA, and he started taking me along to watch, and I fell in love with what I was watching. And he did the usual thing that a kid gets to do, where you get some flare guns and you get to shoot somebody else's stuff for a little while, and it became the thing that I really enjoyed doing. So I got to build off of that slowly. Shot my carry gun at local USPSA matches for a little while before I went into the Marine Corps. And then I spent 8 years in the Marine Corps, shot when I could, working around deployments in whatever states I was living in at the time. I still kept up with the matches all throughout that. And then once I got stationed in Hawaii, I stopped for a while because their gun laws are horrible. Didn't bring a single gun out there with me. And that's when I got into photography. After about a year of that, I was losing my damn mind because photography is great and Hawaii was beautiful, but man, I spent way too much time not shooting, and I found they've got a very heavy Filipino shooting community out there, and they've got a variety of clubs that rotate every single weekend out there. So if you can afford it, you can shoot a match every weekend, and that's when Hawaii's pistol laws are kind of garbage. So I was like, oh, PCC sounds cool because I don't have as many restrictions on rifle, and it's all been downhill from there. I started shooting PCC hard out there, bought my first MPX, started shooting that way too much, and I still have 90% of that gun today is what I'm still running as my main match rifle.
Yeah, I am very surprised about how well that thing actually runs. It's not very normal that they run.
You don't shoot with me enough, unfortunately. I fought all last year. Every major match I shot, except for Indiana Sectional, was ruined because of malfunctions. I was chasing a gassing issue because I was still shooting my original barrel after about 40,000 rounds. So sent it away to a guy who ripped it apart and came back and was like, dude, I don't know how you made it this far. So all last year I chased nothing but malfunctions, and that's the thing with the MPX. Anybody that's shot it long term, they know that it's a maintenance pig. So you either take care of it enough to get the benefits out of it, or you move on to something that's a little bit less performance wise. But when it runs, it's been a phenomenal gun. I have yet to shoot a gun that I can split as fast as that gun. I've yet to shoot a gun that's as flat overall shooting, regardless of what I give to it. I mean, everybody I hand that gun to, they're like, holy cow, this is incredible. And then they talk about wanting to buy it, and I tell them, well, okay, hold on. I've reached the point now that after about 6 years of it, I need to clean it every other local. I'm going to clean it Friday night before Buckeye, Saturday night after day one of Buckeye, just to make sure that everything does what it needs to do. But when it runs, it's amazing.
Right. So how close have you been to selling it and getting something different?
This year is the first year that I've seriously been tipping on that scale. Because I've got two now. I got brand new barrels that are both set up with the whole breccie style. And so I've still had some malfunctions here and there at the start of this year. And I'm really dialing in the whole cleaning and maintenance process because I grew up shooting a lot of ARs. I can tear apart an AR and put it back together, no problem. But when I bought the MPX, I thought, oh, this will be great. It's more like an AR, and it should be all the same. And for the first couple of years, I got lucky because I was really breaking it in, and it didn't have enough wear to really have any big problems. And then that short stroke piston in a 9mm gun, man, it's amazing the things that can go wrong. So I've learned a lot. Talked with a guy named Rob Ott. He owns a company called In Lead We Trust, and he has made it his life to just make the MPX work again. So he's been really instrumental in kind of helping me figure out, okay, why am I having the problems I am? What can I do to fix them? And Buckeye is going to be the first test this year to see if the things that I'm doing are correct. See if I can make it through a whole match without a malfunction.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's, even open shooters, carry optics guys, and even PCC guys. We all know if the gun doesn't run, it's a problem, right? You always have this thing in the back of your brain, right? Is it going to work? Is it going to work?
Yep.
Or
it's funny because the guys that shoot a lot of pistol that don't have problems, they don't ever know the mental pain of that. Mm-hmm. Or if you've fought it for a while, there's that little bug in the back of your mind that's like, oh man, okay, let today be a good day. And then, I can go back through any match video, especially all last year. As soon as the first one hits, you can hear it. That breath lets loose, and it's like, man, not again. So I think I've got it dialed in. The last few times that I've shot it and tested it, things have been good. I'm shooting a good, consistent ammo. I'm shooting PMC now, so we'll see. We got, 13 stages at Buckeye, so it'll be a good test.
Yeah, especially over the 2 days, it gives you a chance to actually clean the gun. Between days, so you're not going to be struggling through, trying to complete 10 or 11 stages in one day with no real break.
Yes, and it sucks because once you're invested into a platform, it's really hard to switch too. So
this is true. A lot of people don't understand that either, but magazines alone.
Oh yeah, especially on the MPX. Those at the heat of that gun taking off, the brand new ones from SIG were $65. So
yeah. Now, does anyone make any aftermarket mags for those?
Yes. So a company called Thrill, they started making them, and actually SIG has now adopted those as the standard. So those are $35 a pop. I want to say Lancer made the original ones, and I like the Lancers a lot. They just don't make them anymore. SIG went with the cheaper option, but they still run great. I've got a good majority of both, and I've never had issues with mags.
Oh, well, that's good. At least you've not had issues with mags, right? It's always either mags, gun, or ammo. It's always one of the three.
Yeah. And ammo hurt me a little bit last year when I was chasing gas, and I didn't know I was chasing gas. So, I tried everything from Blazer to Freedoms to Federal Syntec. I tried everything. It was Supervel for a little while, and when the malfunctions happen, I want to blame the ammo because I don't want to blame the gun because I didn't know enough about the gun. So now that I know enough about the gun, like I said, I'm shooting PMC 124 just to get something good, consistent, it's accurate out of the gun. So long as I do my part and just baby it the way it wants to be babied, I think it'll be all right.
Right. So have you ever thought about starting to reload your own ammo, or is it just something you don't have time for?
It's something I very much want to do. I love to tinker, so I've been building ARs forever, and every AR I own has been one I built myself. So I love the idea of load development and all that. Once I have a more established living situation, I want to get some property and get a house of my own. That's when I want to put some money into the reloading so I can actually build a space for it.
Gotcha, yeah. Especially if you don't have a permanent place kind of like that, or you're just you're in between zones, it's just so much more extra shit to have to worry about.
Yeah, it's I know it's a lot of money to get started into, so it's something that I'll push out for a while, and I can run the factory game for a while still.
Yeah, I just wish I was one of those people who could be like, oh yeah, I just shoot factory ammo, but no, my open gun, it's that doesn't work all the time.
Yeah.
Yep, I just get to load my own hand grenades.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
and I feel your pain because I've my cousin that I used to shoot with, he shot open, and so he played the same game of like, man, when that gun ran, it was awesome. Watching him shoot was amazing, but the malfunctions that you guys can get they're incredible.
Yeah, the good old. It's never one simple fix. Typically, it's always like rack the gun, flip it upside down, smack its ass, or something. It's so stupid. It's just a million things you got to worry about, and it's like,
oh yeah,
I'm very fortunate.
I can't imagine.
Go ahead.
I can't imagine how many open shooters have split the webbing on their thumb, having to grab a slide and punch into the grip.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people don't understand how to mortar a gun open anyway either. They're just like,
yes,
I can't get it open. I'm like, you better figure it out because it's going to happen at some point.
Yeah. I mean, that's been one of the few benefits is I'm good at clearing malfunctions now. I can get a gun back up and running on that MPX real quick. I didn't want to have to learn it the way that I did, but got something out of it.
Yeah. Have you actually had to mortar that thing open yet?
No, I have never had a stuck issue.
Mm-hmm.
Gassing mostly gave me failure to ejects and double feeds, and then if I, like my first local was cold, and I hadn't cleaned the gun in, we'll say a couple weeks prior to like some other shooting days. So cold and dirty, that doesn't help at all. That bolt isn't moving fast enough. So it's either double feeds or a failure to eject. Thankfully, I've never had anything crazy other than that.
Well, that's good. But well, at least the gun ran enough where you made GM with it, though. That's pretty exciting.
It did, and I was just telling Josh the other day. I'm like, you know what? You can laugh at me all you want for this gun not working, but I made GM with a broken gun. So there's something. I did something right at some point in time, enough times that it all worked out.
Right. You prayed to the MPX god, be like, please be the day you run.
I feel like it was almost never classifiers that the gun didn't run.
Yeah.
I think very few of my classifiers was it a malfunction problem. It was either a me problem or it worked out well.
Yeah. Well, yeah, or it's the giant field course of the day that's, 32 rounds, super low hit factor, and you're just like, well, there goes the whole stage.
Yeah, I can't complain about those because I'm the guy that builds those.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with that. Like, we shot a local today, and, you've been to Oak Hill. The first bay is that huge, ginormous bay, and we're like, well, we know there's going to be 30-yard steel, 30-yard paper. Let's just go to town.
Or like, I think it's Brooklyn, the corner bay.
Mm-hmm.
That bay is always huge.
Yeah, but it's not unreasonable, though. It's nothing that you couldn't actually take all your time in the world and shoot it, either.
Yep.
Yeah, but, so how long did it take you to make GM?
Like just overall, or from one division or from one class to another?
Well, just like from when you got back, out of the Marine Corps, when you started getting into shooting, how long was that?
Okay, so I was in A class in Hawaii, mm-hmm. So I think I went straight to A class for PCC, because I think I was a D class percentage on carry optics because my time with a pistol in competition was very limited. Mm-hmm. So for PCC, I went straight to A, and then I rode with A for about 2 years in Hawaii. When I came back, I think I was still sitting at A for about another year or so. And then I want to say a year and a half to 2 years ago, I made M, and then GM was last year. Mm-hmm. So that, once I met Josh and learned more about, training, and dry fire was a foreign concept to me. I didn't know that the words actually could be put together and meant something. I would fiddle with my guns on my own and mess around, but I could never associate it with something. I was just never taught that kind of thing. So once Josh started picking up competition stuff and he and I were bouncing back and forth on training and stuff like that, that's when I kind of started picking up more stuff, and having good people to train with that are trying to get better just like you are, it definitely helps speed things up.
Oh yeah, 100%. Having a training partner or somebody you can just talk to and talk through the issues definitely makes it a hell of a lot easier. But oh shit, there we go. So you're shooting. Oh, I guess I'll ask this question because I think about this all the time. So, our current classification system. When you shoot a major match, right? There's either not enough shooters or there's not enough GMs. And PCC is always the problem. It seems like there's not enough shooters anymore. Which sucks for, everyone who wants to shoot the division and can't ever get a classification score out of major matches.
Yeah.
But do you have an idea? What are your thoughts on that? Is there something they could do to fix that problem?
I don't know that there's something you can do to fix it because I feel like it's very highly based on like where you're at. Because you go down to like the Florida area and you start getting into that region of major matches. There's a lot of guys shooting there everywhere. So it's not your numbers start bumping up across the board out of every class. Indiana, Michigan, and Ohio. You've got a couple really good shooters. You get like Corey Shield, guys like that are close in the area, but for whatever reason, pistol is just more dominant out here. So even in locals, like that was another good thing about having friends that I could shoot with and shoot against because the locals that I've always go to, I rarely ever have any PCC competitors there at all. Or if I do, it might be somebody's girlfriend who wasn't ready for pistol, but PCC was an easier option for them, or somebody's kid. There's not a big inventory of PCC shooters, even within the 3 states. So, when I shot Michigan sectional last year, I shot in, I don't remember if it was either Michigan or Area 5 last year, but I shot in like the PCC Super Squad. It might have been Area 5, where we had one squad that was probably 90% of the PCC shooters in the entire match. And that was just in our one squad because we just all happened to squad together. That was, I guess, the most heat that I've experienced all together at once in the area. And beyond that, unless a PCC shooter just happens to travel to these matches that I'm going to, it's very rare. So as far as a fix, I don't know that there's an easy one to do because I put PCC up there kind of with open where can you get into it cheaply? Yes. Are you going to have a good time? Probably not. Anybody I've ever talked to that's talked about wanting to shoot PCC or even do it, frequently, I tell them out the gate, I'm like, you're going to spend $1,500 on a gun easily because you're going to want something that works. If you go buy an $800 PSA, it will probably run, but it's not going to be a comfortable gun to shoot long term. So now you're going to add stuff to it. That price is going to go up and up and up. And by the time you get to the $1,500, $2,000 mark, now you got a pretty suitable gun. But again, you're in it $1,500, $2,000 or more. Those other divisions carry optics. It's super easy to go buy a good pistol, put a good optic on it. You're in it for $1,000 or less, and you can be competitive. PCC, it's just up there with open. I could build any striker-fired gun to be an open gun, but man, you're not going to compete with the 2011 kids out there. It's just not going to happen. So it's a mix of kind of pay to play and just what the platform needs to be effective, and a lot of people don't necessarily want to invest in it. So I fell in love with it when I was shooting out in Hawaii, and I've always enjoyed rifles more than pistols. Pistols to me are work, and it's work I'm willing to do, but there's been very few occasions where I've picked up a pistol and shot it in any fashion. I'm like, man, that was a lot of fun. Versus, taking that MPX and putting a 40-round stick in it and shooting a stage as fast as I can, and everything goes well. Like, that's so much fun. And the amount of I've taken quite a few pistol shooters to a match, had them shoot my PCC. Josh was one of them. And they get done, and they're like, oh my gosh, that was so much fun. And it's like, you're right, it is. If it's something you want to invest in, like, it's a lot of fun. But unfortunately, it's up there in one of those divisions where you got to put the money into it before you can really push it out there.
Mm-hmm. Oh, 100%, yeah. It's just a blast, right? Like, and it's, as you mentioned, sticking a 40-round mag in it, you're never going to have to reload unless it's some silly classifier. Yep. But, like, I shot a local today. There was, like, one stage I had to reload on. And I'm just like,
yeah.
It's like, come on, guys. Like, I want to reload, but I don't want to reload. I want to be made to reload.
You got to do what we've done in a couple matches where I shot what we call production PCC one time because Josh wanted to test himself in production limitations on magazine capacity. So I shot an entire match with my MPX loading to 15, and it was the most horrific thing I've ever done. I'll never do it again. But that's I'm willing to sacrifice a local match once in a while just to play with that kind of stuff and see how good or bad it's going to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and I will say this: it doesn't make sense to add rounds just to add rounds to a stage. They got to, it's got to make sense, right? Now, if it's a lot of steel or something, but it's like this is where I wish we were able to say between your first and your last shot, you must do a reload on this stage.
Yep.
I mean, and that's kind of like the freedoms like that you guys have probably when you run a PCSL match. I bet you can stipulate that.
Yeah, that's one of the things that the two matches I've done so far, I've told the shooters that show up, I'm like, hey, a decent amount of you shot USPSA. Every match you come to of mine, I'm going to implement something else that you won't see at USPSA. So today is a perfect example. I had a shooting area that the entire shooting area was a giant X. Mm-hmm. And I was able to stipulate that you're not allowed to leave the shooting area. So now you're traversing the entirety of that X. Can't cut any corners, stuff like that. I did an ammo can stage where I was able to mandate that, hey, once you pick up that ammo can, it is not allowed to touch the ground, and it must be in your hand when you take the final shot. How you solve that problem is up to you. I put some barrels out there, so guys were deciding what worked best to them of like, hey, I'm going to drop this ammo can on this barrel, go shoot everything, come back for it, and hit the final target. And that's one of the things I like about PCSL is it gives the stage designers a lot more freedom to create a situation where each shooter has to solve the problem their way. And you might come up with a great way for you, and then that one person sees something you don't, and you're like, dang it, that makes so much more sense than what I did. And that's, we saw that today where I shot it my way, and I liked the way that I shot it, and then I watched the next guy go, and I was like, you gotta be kidding me. I don't, why did I not do it that way? It makes so much more sense. So PCSL is definitely a good one for that, where you can put in those little elements that help kind of challenge the shooter a bit further than what USPSA does, just with the restrictions that the stage builders have.
Yeah, well, and especially now with the different types of targets. Now, does your club have the PCSL targets yet?
Yep.
Yeah, and some people don't realize in the rules that you don't actually have to use the PCSL target yet. You can use what you have.
And that's one of the things that's nice too. The range that we shoot on, they told us no steel for rifle. Understandable, even though I have good gong steel that's angled down and all that, but whatever. So since I can't use steel for rifle, I've been using bowling pins. It's a good alternative. They still fall over. They'll last a match or two before they get blown out, but a lot of guys have been donating, or there's bowling alleys that have old ones they want to get rid of. So it's a nice alternative to have something that you can knock over with a rifle, but we don't have to worry about the splatter or the ricochet risk of steel. The range is happy because we're not pushing their safety rules or whatever. And I can still put a target out there that's not just a paper target, and you get something reactive on the rifle as well as putting steel out there for the pistol.
Mm-hmm. So you've said this is your second. You finally ran your second PCSL match.
Yep. So today was our second match. Yeah. I've shot more than that, but our club today was our second.
Right, and you guys are in Fort Wayne or north of Fort Wayne-ish. But so that's pretty close. Relatively for me, it's not that far to get down there, so I'll have to try to get down there at some point. But
yeah, that'd be great.
Do you also? Who's running the USPSA matches at your club?
So the match director for the USPSA club is Tim Wunderlich, and then I'm the range master for that club. Mm-hmm. So Tim took that club over years ago before I came back from the Marine Corps and started shooting with the club again. So he's not as heavily invested into just the competition side of shooting. He took over to keep that club alive, just so that there was somebody part of the board of the range that could keep it going. And he loves to shoot. He loves having us out there. And so we kind of talked to him end of last year about, hey, I'm a certified RO. I've been shooting these matches for a long time. I've been helping build stages forever. I'm like, how would you feel about me taking those range master responsibilities off your shoulders? You can still do all the match director stuff, still set it up, do everything, talk to the people, but once the shooting starts, like, now we don't have to come find you mid-match and be like, hey, Tim, what's your call on this? And have to then explain everything versus just, hey, send them to Riley. As soon as an issue comes up and he doesn't have to worry about that, now he can enjoy the match a little bit more. So that started this year, and that club's been doing awesome. We hit a record just last weekend. We had 64 shooters. Last year we were averaging 50 plus, so we're kind of trying to keep that ball rolling and get some better props out there and see if we can just improve the quality of the match, because we've got good stage builders, we've got a decent enough range. It's got more potential than what we have available to us, but we got 5 bays that get smaller as they go down, and so we get a variety of having. We almost always have one field course. We almost always have one burner in the corner on the small bay, and then you get some medium stages mixed in. So, we're just spread enough that, like I said, we had 64 last weekend, which was awesome. So we're hoping to keep that going all year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's for sure. And it's nice to see people keep coming out and like, word of mouth spreads of like, oh, they ran a good match. Yeah. It was challenging. It was good. And then people come, right? It's kind of like how I feel like that Northern Ohio club, the Wasion club was, right? Some people podunk shooting it, and then eventually more people are like, oh, we had a good time. So then more people sign up, and it just be like, it fills up, and then you're stuck with 15-man squads.
The matches I've shot at Wasion were good. The only complaint that has been consistent between me and the guys that I shoot with is just the timing of the release of scores. That's been about the only thing that we've complained about here and there, just because, like, not that they'll ever matter for a local, but man, if I spent all day out there shooting, like, I want to know how I did. I want to know how I did right now. So we took that back, and Tim's always been really good at that because he's got like a Wi-Fi receiver he sets up out at the range, so he hotspots right to his phone, and before he even leaves the range for that day, he's already got scores uploaded, which has been great.
Right, and you could even just post a practice score, like the USPSA results or wherever. They can wait till you get home because you got to do other crap with that anyway. So it's like, it's just easy. Just post a practice score. Yay, we're done.
Yep, that's what we've been doing, and today the final squad, I watched them start tearing down, and then I started sinking tablets, and those guys didn't even have the stages torn down before scores were put up today, just because, I would like to be able to have to send the shooters away, and as soon as they get home, they can check on the phone, or, if they stop for food, like, oh, sweet, now I can look at it and talk about it, versus a day or 2 days later when I've kind of stopped caring about it anymore.
Right. Yep, exactly. I love to look at my scores as I'm editing the video and be like, all right, how did it look? It's like, was the time okay?
Yeah. It's harder to talk shit with all the guys you shoot with too if the scores don't come up quick.
Yeah. Lunch afterwards is kind of boring because it's like, man, I can't. Well, unless because if it was your tablet, you also could know, like, because we all have done this. You look at your tablet before you hand it into the guy at the end of the match, be like, haha, I beat you, whoever so and so.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, we talked about this at one time at Ryan Rocks last year. Because you had your big old camera out, like you're more expensive than your rifle camera.
Oh yeah.
What made you get into photography?
So like I said, I was stationed out in Hawaii, a place that I would never live again, but I can never deny that it's absolutely beautiful out there. There's very few places you can go where it's not just beautiful somewhere, or within, you take 10 steps and you'll find something that's beautiful. So being out there, the friends that I had out there, we enjoyed hiking, and I had always liked kind of just taking pictures with my phone, but I just needed a new hobby. I needed something to learn, just because I didn't have the shooting to keep me busy in my free time. So I went and bought one of Canon's kind of cheap kit DSLR cameras that came with a couple lenses and $500-600, and you got a basic DSLR camera. Started taking pictures out when we would do hikes, and then I was fortunate that I worked with an Osprey unit at the time, and I was in quality assurance as an ordnance Marine. So my Marines were responsible for the machine guns. It's an Osprey in Hawaii. It does a lot of cargo work, and that's about it. So me being in quality assurance, I did not have a lot to do on a day-to-day basis. So I kind of talked to my leadership, and they were cool with me taking pictures of the planes and the Marines as they were working, and so that gave me a good opportunity just to experiment. So I started taking pictures at work. They liked the pictures I was taking, and then I started getting requests to go to certain locations if we were doing work with like the Army, picking up howitzers or Humvees, or if we were going to do a special flight doing training. I got to go on flights and take pictures. And then when we deployed to Australia for 6 months, that was a really good time for me to kind of bank up some money, because I'm not paying for anything other than like my food if I happen to go out off base on the weekends or something. So I put away a lot of money, and then got done with Australia, and I dropped about $6,000 on Amazon buying the camera body, a couple lenses, some gear that at the time I didn't know I would never really need, but I bought a really good camera body and really good lenses, and slowly pieced together the rest of my kit after that. But I put together a really good setup for my camera stuff, and that just kind of gave me something to keep busy with and keep learning about. I was a product of YouTube when it came to camera stuff. I've followed photographers on YouTube and watched all these Lightroom and Photoshop tips and tricks and all these things, and just kept playing with it. Was real fortunate that I knew people who were cool with letting me taking pictures of them, so I got to go try out the portrait stuff. And that's after I kind of reached a point where I felt like I knew enough to hold my own with a camera. That's when the itch came back of like, I really want to go shoot again.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started building a rifle, and then just on Instagram stumbled across a video of somebody shooting a match out there, and I blew that person's messages up. I was like, you need to tell me where this is, when this is, what is it, how can I get there?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's pretty cool. So, how much do you still take the camera out, now that you're back in Indiana?
I'll take it. I don't take it with me just on a whim. If I'm going someplace and I did a photo shoot for my girlfriend for her dog once, just because she wanted pictures of her dog, and it's one of those things where like not a lot of people have access to well taken photos. Whether it's the phone cameras anymore, it's all cheat codes. You can take really good pictures on those too, but there's always something special about like a good camera taking a good photo and having it edited properly. So I'll take it to events, or like I just went to Colorado for a week, so obviously that thing came with me. I've taken it to a couple matches. So like last year, Tim wanted to kind of put some new photos up on the Facebook, so I brought my camera one day and I did an RO for the day. So I would shoot my stage, and then I'd go walk around and take pictures of people. And when I shot CO Nats, I brought it with me there too, because it was just something that I didn't plan on ever really doing again. And so I wanted to get pictures for myself, but then of the shooters that I was there with for kind of the same reason. Because especially in the shooting sports, like you don't get a lot of photos of you out there shooting. We get plenty of videos, but there's not very often where you get somebody rolling around with a good camera that can take a nice photo of you shooting a match, kind of you in your element in the moment. So depending on where I'm going, what I'm doing, I'll bring it with me when I feel like it. And then I also I put together almost all of my own guns. Very few guns have I just bought and use them as they are. So I like to take photos, kind of do like product photography photos of my guns, just to show off to some people like these are the things that you could do with your AR or your MPX or whatever, and kind of put it out there. And trying to get some companies to buy it, maybe hook up with me, but that hasn't happened yet.
Right. Now, do you ever get offered or requested to do like weddings and stuff?
I did one wedding. I will never do a wedding again. Did that for a buddy of mine in Hawaii, one of the Marines that I worked with. That does not appeal to me enough. Like, you have to love shooting weddings to do that a lot, because for example, I was doing like portrait shoots with some girls out in Hawaii. So if I take a girl out to a waterfall, if I take a photo and you posed it wrong, it's easy. I'll fix it. We'll take a new photo. if I miss first kiss or daddy-daughter dance or any of those things that happen at a wedding because maybe you were in the wrong part at the wrong time or a family member got in your way, that's it. That moment's gone. You'll never get that moment back again. So, like, there was a huge stress increase of just shooting a wedding, knowing that I can't stop any of this. I can't take it back. I can't fix it. This is all going to happen as it happens. And I took 1,700 photos in 6 hours because I put that thing on burst and I just let it eat. And I was not going to miss a single thing. And then it took me 2.5 weeks of working 8 to 10 hours a day in the Marine Corps and then coming home and editing photos here and there, trying to shoot matches on the weekend and then editing photos too. So thankfully I knew them and they were just happy to save money because, man, a wedding photographer in Hawaii will cost you $2,000 without breaking a sweat. So they didn't care, but it's just, there's a lot of stress with weddings and I want no part of that. I stress myself out enough as it is shooting matches. So
yeah, I can definitely see that. Yeah, I could understand that. Like, my little sister, she's getting married here in July, and she's like,
yeah.
"Oh, can you take some fancy, like, reel or something?" I'm like, I will do my best, but I will not promise a damn thing.
Yeah, it's a huge commitment. A lot of people take it for granted. And then the ones that love it, like, I've seen some videos of, like, professional wedding photographers of, like, they have a shot list of every shot they want to get. They're generally somewhat rude to family members because they need you to do what they say when they say it. Otherwise, things don't work out. So, like, the ones that are good are awesome, but you have to love it's just like shooting PCC. You have to love it to deal with it at this point. So, you get that with open. If you didn't love it, you wouldn't still be dealing with it, whether the gun worked or not. So,
this is a true statement. But the PCC and open, their guns are too fun not to shoot, though.
Yeah, that is true.
Like, I could take it or leave it, shoot and carry optics. Like, screw that. Like, that's not fun.
I do that just to stay proficient and to prove to my pistol buddies that I'm not as far behind you as you think I am.
Yeah, you're not one of those GMs in PCC who can't shoot a pistol to save their life.
No. I mean, I love doing two guns, so I have to be at least somewhat good enough at pistol to hold my own.
Right.
Now, given I'm not the M class that USPSA says I am. I am an A class pistol shooter, but that whole dragging up your classification crap doesn't help me there.
Yeah, now that's what I think we need to get rid of is I'm a GM in PCC, so I'm always a master in everything else.
Yes, I'm a firm believer that PCC at least should not carry a classification up. I can understand the side of it where if you are a phenomenal PCC shooter, then you already have a lot of the foundation for the other ones, but the shooting is so much different. You shoot PCC and you just need to be good enough at shooting the gun, and then your fundamentals need to be good because I don't have to focus on how I'm shooting the gun for the most part. Put yourself up against the really good GMs and now it becomes a competition of everything. But so long as I shoot the gun well enough, now it's just, are my transitions good? Is my movement good? Is my stage plan good? You switch over to the pistol guys, and I've told a lot of my friends this, I'm like, I feel sorry for you sometimes because you have to do everything I'm doing, and how is my grip? Where is my dot? How are my reloads? How is my draw? The shooting is now more important for pistol versus for PCC. The shooting is not the important element, and that's where I've encouraged some of my friends too to, like, hey, if you get a chance, shoot a match on PCC because you can see things about your shooting that you don't see when you shoot pistol because you're so focused on the shooting. Take a step back, shoot PCC for a match or two, and now you're like, oh crap, my movement sucks. You didn't change anything. You shot a match like you would always shoot a match, but you've taken away the concern of how is the gun performing because shooting a rifle is inherently easier. So that was one of the things that when Josh did it, he and I talked about that a few times where it's like, he was able to pick out some things that, like, when I shoot pistol, I don't notice that because it's been good enough that it hasn't stuck out versus now it sticks out because there's nothing else to hide it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree on that. Yeah, when you can't hide when you can't hide behind something, it definitely sticks out and is apparent. Like,
yes.
Well, or it's almost the fact like y'all start, and then all you're worried about is, okay, I got to run here and shoot these targets, and then eventually it becomes, I need to look to this spot so I can be in this position to then shoot these targets. There's always these different layers, right? It always can seem easy, but as soon as you add the layers of complexity, it becomes far more advanced of a skill.
Yes.
Right, just like in stage planning, right? Everyone can say, well, I'm going to go here, here, and here, but how you put in the details of how you get there or what you do when you get there is the difference.
Yep. Or even just as simple as what target did you shoot last before you went to that position, or what target are you shooting first when you get to that position?
Yes. Exactly. So, well, I'll get to that in the end when I ask. I have another question, but that'll relate to that. So we're shooting Buckeye. So by the time this happens, guys, listeners, sorry, this match will have already been over. But currently, Riley and I are prepping to leave for a major match here in a couple days.
Yeah.
I leave before him. I got to leave on Wednesday, but you'll leave on probably Friday,
Saturday morning.
Oh,
Saturday morning.
That's kind of nice. Only one night in a hotel.
Yeah, we got an Airbnb with a group of like 8, so. Trying to save as much money as possible, but we're at Saturday PM, Sunday AM.
So that's good. So, a lot of people bitch about how Airbnbs are working now. So this is actually a great question, actually. When did the total cost breakdown be for you guys when you split it 8 ways?
$5.
Hopefully it's not a roach fest, but with 8 people, it's not bad.
I'm gonna bitch at the guy up and down if it sucks, but he got us a place that's got 7 beds, so one person's bringing an air mattress. So we contemplated just splitting a hotel 3 ways, but trying to keep those costs down as much as possible, just to be able to put that towards ammo or something else is something we've always tried really hard to do. So I'll suffer through staying in an Airbnb with 7 other guys for one night if it saves me $100.
Oh, 100%. 100%. So you said you're shooting with... Lord have mercy. How did I lose this? Who are you shooting with?
I believe Corey Messerschmidt, Chase Williams, Jeff Jennings is in my squad. Josh got on our schedule, but not in our squad.
Yeah, where are you guys? So I'm trying to find it on the squatting, and I'm just like...
I think we're 407.
Oh, okay.
Squad number, I'm pretty sure.
Yep, I did find you. Yep. So that's good. So you're shooting at least with Aaron Brolk, another PCC shooter in Sin. Would you? Are you more? What?
I love Sin.
Yeah, she is the sweetest, nicest lady. So at the local today, she's got this jumbo Sam's Club wagon behind her. And she's got her folding chair in her same hand as she's trying to drag this thing all the way from 6 to 1 up at the Oak Hill. And all these guys are just huffing their backpacks up there. And I'm on the squad that's on the next bay over. And I'm like, so I walked her cart up there for her because I'm like, you guys are all jerks. It's like...
Yeah, I met her when I took my RO class with Gary, and she was there. And then I had seen her when she would RO matches, and she was one of the ones that surprised me because right after I made GM, I saw her at Brooklyn. It was probably for like Michigan or Area 5 or something, and she congratulated me on it. And I sat there like, I didn't know you even paid attention to that enough to think to say something to me. So she and I've always tried to talk her up whenever I see her, just to kind of keep that going, because she's always been great.
Mm-hmm. All right. So I guess to get back to my question is, would you rather shoot with your friends or high-level pistol shooters, or would you rather shoot with a bunch of PCCs?
I would push towards the PCC side because last year when I shot Area 5, like I said, I was with all PCC shooters. I could have shot with a group that had some friends in there, but like the learning experience is so much better there when I'm shooting with my own kind, because when I work a stage brief, I'll bounce ideas back and forth with my buddies, and sometimes I'll see things that they won't because I'm not thinking about it in terms of how am I going to shoot this as a pistol. But there's less that I can take in a stage brief layout, there's less that I can take from a pistol shooter than what a pistol shooter could take from a PCC or an open shooter, because they have to kind of break down their stage brief way further than I do. You know, I don't have to plan in my reloads. I don't have to plan in as much of the concern of how far away is that target, because 25-yard open paper, you know, so long as I got good amount on the gun, it's nothing. It's just another easy day. 25-yard open paper on a carry optic shooter who maybe wants to start moving before he goes there, like that becomes a challenge. And so because there's so few PCC shooters around me on a consistent basis, when I get the opportunity to shoot with a mixture of them, I like to take advantage of it. So Area 5 last year was awesome for that reason, because I want to say we had like 8 or 9 in one squad. Area 5 the year before, I shot with Corey Shields and Justine Williams, both shooting PCC. Mm-hmm. So that one I jumped on immediately just because of the high level of both of them. And that was like, I didn't even realize her squad had opened up 2 years ago. Josh actually told me, he's like, hey, dude, you need to get in that squad right now. Mm-hmm. And so I shot with her and Corey, and they were amazing. Both of them are polar opposites on shooting styles, and you know, she's short and he's tall, but they were awesome to shoot with, because you know, I could learn, in my opinion, I can learn a lot more from them, because they're trying to make the same platform I'm shooting work to the best that it can, versus following a GM carry optic shooter. His stage plan is probably going to work out just fine, but there might be an element of his stage plan that he doesn't want to do because he's shooting a pistol, versus you take the GM PCC shooter who's willing to take a different risk because the gun is more capable. So if I get the opportunity to be with a bunch of PCC shooters, especially if I know kind of their skill level already, like, you know, my buddy Harrison, he's gotten to a good point. Anthony Zabonic, he's gotten to a good point. So like getting to be around those type of guys where, you know, I don't get to shoot with them all the time, but put me around them in a major match, and now we can kind of pick each other apart. And I think it's a lot better that way. Right.
Well, yeah, and I remember that that was the first time I met Justine, and Corey, and I remember Corey too. That was the first time I really talked to Corey. And he was like, "Yeah, my gun's really quiet." I'm like, "I'll be fine."
Yes.
I'm like I got you.
He reshot 3 times that year, and it was all the commander timers. And we told every single one of them, "You need to make sure you're close." And every one of them did not believe us.
Yeah, that gun's quiet, but it's all about you know your timer, and you got to know how to use it. Like.
Yeah.
Especially with those PCCs, you just got to yank it up there, and then when they're done shooting, yank that bitch away. Like,
I mean, that's one of the things that we deal with the PCSL too, because suppressors are allowed. So I when I get a guy that shows up with a can on, I'll look at how he starts to shoot this stage and kind of decipher, all right, you're going to end over there on that array. I got to be in your face when that happens. Mm-hmm. I'll back off the rest of the time, but PCCs, a lot of them are the same way. My gun, I've tricked a few timers for guys that weren't paying attention before, and it sucks, especially if you have a good run and if they call you out on it. But that to me is an RO experience thing over a lot of stuff.
Right now, I don't know if you've gone down to Wildcat when they've ran their PCSL. Yep.
So I was shooting Wildcat matches as much as I could, and then they moved to 4th Saturdays, and my match is 4th Sundays. So I'm kind of screwed on being able to shoot with them anymore.
Right, and I do know that they use the stick thing. Like, they put the timer on the stick.
Yeah, I got a couple of videos of that. It looks goofy as shit, but it worked great.
Yeah, especially if you're using the rifle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can definitely see where that works. Now, what I would probably do is I would upgrade it to like one of those, 2-foot, 3-foot selfie sticks with a phone mount on it or something.
There you go.
At least be like, all right. Well, the problem is then somebody would want to steal it too, and that's always the problem too. Is just like,
yeah,
if shit's not stapled down or ugly as hell, someone's gonna walk away with it.
No, I definitely agree.
Not that we don't have good people in the sport, but there are some people who are like, they'd be like, they won't notice that missing, and then you go to look for it, and it's like, why is it?
They can afford it.
Yeah, because match directing and running matches is a total profit scheme, right?
Yes, I'm making buku bucks, man.
buku bucks and all. Like I don't have to work a real job or what, yeah.
I wish. I'm working 40, 50 hours a week, and I get asked to train on a weekday. I'm like, I can't, man. It's money making season. I work in excavation, so it's the time of the year where I'm going to work as many hours as I can. Thankfully, I don't ever really have to work weekends, so I just burn it down during the week and get as many hours as possible because I need to be able to afford that next case of ammo and that next hotel trip. And I'm fortunate that my girlfriend has really taken a liking to the sport, so I'm funding her as much as I can until it becomes a hindrance on me, just until she can reach a financial spot where she's like, yep, I can take this over and handle myself now. So I'm paying for two for the time being. I told her that she can start selling feet pics if I can't afford this stuff anymore.
Hey, it just is a slippery slope at that point, right? Oh, no comment, I guess, on that. No, I'm gonna leave it there because I'm gonna leave it there because I don't want to go down that rabbit hole.
I've done photo shoots for the people that like those sites, so
yeah,
I know where some of that goes, unfortunately.
Yeah. So, what's the best color shade of lighting then for feet?
I've not done feet yet. Not done feet yet.
Yeah.
But I did some OnlyFans shoots out in Hawaii because why not?
Right. Hey, you got paid. That's all that matters, right?
Yeah, you're right.
Money's money. But so Buckeye is sorry guys, you're living in the past, right? We're gonna talk present. So you're shooting. What is your goal for I know we don't like to be results based focused, right? But do you have a goal for this match?
My goal at a minimum is to win my division.
Okay.
Because I and some of the guys I shoot with, I feel that I have reached a skill level where with the individuals who will go to this match, I feel that I can hold my own. Again, every major I shot but one last year was thrown out for me because of a malfunction. As soon as I had one or two of those, especially at a major, you're done. It's so hard to come back from that, especially in a division like PCC where the skill gap is huge. You're either really good or you're just here for fun. And especially when you get dudes like Justine or Corey out there, like you have to be on your game and your gun has to run 100%. So my goal is to, if I'm top 3 and I can take home some iron, like that'll make me super happy. But I'm definitely going to win at each of the 3 state championships I'm shooting: Indiana, Michigan, Ohio, and then Area 5. I'm at least going to win my division. Love to win the whole thing, but I'm realistic too. I know there's some really good open guys, and Area 5 especially brings in some really good shooters. So I definitely at least want to prove to myself what I can do in my division against other guys shooting at a very good skill level. Mm-hmm. I just have to shoot it well enough and keep the gun running. So.
Yeah. It looks like there's 7 PCC GMs, which is freaking unheard of. You think about it, right? Like 7 of you show up.
Yeah, that's a lot.
But there's also 20 other shooters in PCC, which is nice. I mean, you've got
especially for a state championship.
Yeah, well, like Ryan Snyder, he won Michigan last year. And he's a good shooter. Corey Shield. Oh wait, it's Corey. I think Corey Shield's shooting.
I don't remember seeing him.
He might actually be shooting. I don't think he's squatted. I think he's going to shoot through though. I think that's what it's going to have to.
Is it?
Yeah.
All right, so I guess I'll accept a second place because the day that I beat Corey that'll be something.
What are you talking about? He's just got to fall down and you just got to stomp him in the knee, right?
Yeah. I'll never forget when I first watched him shoot because it was at Area 5 with him and Justine, and I had looked him up on Instagram, watched his videos. I'm like, come on, this guy doesn't seem like all that. Like, he's tall and goofy. And then when you're there and you watch him shoot, and it's like, I don't understand how that man moved over there that fast, shot those targets that fast, and he's done. Like, where did I lose all this time? Like, I don't feel like I went that slow, but he's good. He's so good with that gun.
Yeah. That he definitely is. He doesn't look that fast, but he definitely is fast.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching another episode of Manny Talks Shooting. I greatly appreciate it, and if you could do me a favor, please go patronize our sponsors here when you are available. We've got Hunters HD Gold, Go Fast Don't Suck, Outdoor Dynamics, Make Stuff Better, Range Panda, Southern Bobby Q, Laugh and Load, Summit City Bullets, 2 Alpha Apparel, and Tom Castro Shoot Academy. Now let's get back to this episode.
He's one of the goofiest dudes that is phenomenal behind the rifle.
Oh yeah. Now if you've met Caleb Smith, right?
The name sounds familiar.
So he's really tall. So when you get those really tall guys behind a rifle, it looks really awkward too because they're all legs for the most part, and they're flopping around shooting the rifle, and it's kind of cool to watch.
Yeah.
But have you thought about SBRing a PCC?
No.
It's
never has the length of my gun been an issue at a match, and the ease of travel is what I like. So I'm running a 10.5 inch barrel pinned and welded with a Bricky 6-inch comp. So I'm running legal rifle, and I can take it to any state that'll let me go with a legal rifle. As soon as you SBR it and you want to leave the state, you got to notify the ATF. So that's a game that I didn't want to have to deal with. And I've shot against a couple MPXs that were SBR'd, and at no point was anything that they did better than what I'm doing with a 16-inch gun.
Mm-hmm. Right. Other than, if you really, it's more for cool factor, right? They do it cool.
Yeah, I don't disagree. They do definitely look very cool. If the day comes that I move on from the MPX, maybe I'll SBR my backup into something cool, but
yeah,
we'll see.
Right. So I've got a few more questions, but I do have another topic I want to hit. So you, the past 2 years now, or maybe more, have been invited to Ohio Range Day.
Yep.
A lot of our competition friends don't understand what Ohio Range Day is. Can you explain that, what that is?
So last year was my first year shooting Ohio Range, or going to Ohio Range Day. Ohio Range Day it's a huge culminating training event for Achilles Heel Tactical. Achilles Heel Tactical is a training company ran out of Ohio by Rick Crawley. Rick Crawley is a former Marine, former LEO, was never like a big competition guy, but he has shot competition. So he's been on every end of the spectrum for shooting. And he was one of those guys that when he went to the police department, he's like, holy crap, why do we all suck at shooting? And then he went to a match post-Marine Corps. He's like, I'm a Marine Corps Scout Sniper. Like, I'm the biggest, baddest guy on the earth. And he got smoked by some 16-year-old. And he's like, holy shit, why do I suck at shooting? And so he developed his training company, and it started taking off. And the story that he tells is that they decided they wanted to do a training event with like a group of 20 guys and a box of pizza. And then it just grew and grew and grew. And I got the first event I ever did with that company was RX Range Day. So they do 4 RX Range Days once a quarter all across the country. So that's your prescribed range day. So I got to do that. I took a really good pistol class at that event. That was just a one-day event. So that was my introduction to Rick and Achilles Heel. And then I took his baseline pistol and baseline carbine class. And then I took his scope carbine class. And so getting that introduction, kind of getting to meet him more and shoot with him and learn from him. His pistol class that I took, even though it was the baseline class, that changed everything about how I shoot pistol. I did not know the things that I'd been doing wrong for 12 years. I was okay at pistol, but I had taken 2 other classes that they did not resonate with me. The way that the instructors taught, it didn't make sense. What they were telling me didn't make sense. And then he taught in such a way that worked with me. Not every instructor is for every shooter out there, but I feel like I was exponentially better at pistol shooting after taking that baseline class. And so Ohio Range Day now, because it has gotten so big, it is an application-based event. So they'll accept, we'll say, like 400 applications, 500 applications, and then they choose 200 from that. And that's based off of kind of who you are, what your background is, what your experience level is. They look through your social medias, Instagram or whatever, and kind of see like, okay, one, are you somebody who would be safe to bring out here with 200 other people? But then are you coming out for the right reasons? Are you going to benefit from taking this stuff? So once you get selected, last year it was 10 different instructors who had classes over the 3 days. So you prioritize those 10 and say these are top to bottom what I would like. And then they do some voodoo magic and they place everybody into 2 classes over the course of the 3 days. So, you pay for 3 days. If you pay for a 3-day event, you get 2 days of classes, and then there's like sponsor time because there's a bunch of sponsors that come out. They do some little competitions and people win prizes and optics and all sorts of stuff. But it's a huge community event of just like-minded practical shooters who want to get better at shooting, period. There's no I'm trying to be better at just defending my house or take down the government or I want to be this or that. It's people that are there that just want to get better at shooting or some type of discipline. So last year when I was there, I got put into the modern day sniper long range class. So that's the only class that is a 2-day class for this event. So I spent 2 days behind a bolt gun with 3 prior Marine Corps Scout snipers and learned more than I ever thought I could learn in 2 days from them taking what is already a 3 or 4 day class that they teach and they condense it down into 2 days just for that event. And so in having a good relationship with Rick and then attending last year, I applied immediately as soon as it became available again, and I got selected again for this year. So I'll be going back to that in September.
Yeah, that is pretty cool, and I'd like to see that. It's a pretty cool event. Typically you'll see Video Monsoons out there and some other companies, and
yeah,
you get to
Vinny does a lot with Monsoon out there. Mm-hmm. I know a couple years ago they even brought out a couple I don't remember who it was, but they even brought out some of your bigger USPSA instructors. A couple of guys came out and did a class more focused on competition. The range of instructors and classes is pretty wide, so you can, you don't get to directly pick what you take, but by the time you prioritize it, your top 5 is all man, I would love every single one of those. So mm-hmm. It's neat. Everything from vehicle tactics, pistol, defensive stuff, bolt gun, and the options are pretty great. And, the price point is one of those where it sucks to have to pay for it outright right away. It's $750 for the 3 days, but that's 2 catered lunches, 2 catered dinners, 2 days worth of training, a bunch of sponsor time. There's a bunch of sponsors that bring guns, they bring ammo, so I got to shoot a full auto Radian AR build. Didn't cost me a dime. Got to shoot a couple modern material full auto guns. IWI comes out there, HoloSun comes out there. I got to see that fancy night vision thermal thing that HoloSun made. So it's neat. It's kind of take a lot of what SHOT Show does for the sponsorship time and put that onto the range day, and that's kind of what his sponsorship time is, just with the companies that come out there.
Right. Well, and for any one of my people out there, $750, right? So you think about it, a 2-day class with one instructor is roughly $600 nowadays. And then you add the extra stuff on. If you add the extra stuff on top of that, that's not $750 is not a bad price.
No.
But so when you apply, do you have to pay that when you apply or pay when you get selected?
Pay when you get selected.
Oh, okay. I was like, yeah, 600 people can apply now. Yeah, so I take $750 and keep it all from everyone.
Yeah. And then he did it a little differently for this year, but last year too, you didn't know that you got selected until he posted it. He would post 20 names every Friday. Mm-hmm. So you're just waiting on Friday for that story to come up and see, oh man, am I one of the 20? This year he did it a little bit differently, where he had applications were live a week after the event ended last year. I applied and I got a response within a week saying, hey, you're selected. They just were waiting to post everything until after you've paid for it and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, that's cool, but it sucks. It's you got to make sure you're holding on to $750 after, just to hold on to it.
Yeah. And the event's in September, so now you're pushing me close to holidays and all that. So it was one of those that I know people who wanted to do it, but just the timing isn't right, and it's a lot of money to put down for something you're not going to get to do for a year. But I enjoyed it enough that it's something I'm thoroughly looking forward to going back to.
Right. Well, that is cool.
And I've told a couple people too, because I've heard different things from people about like the way that Rick works, whether it's good or bad, or things that how he teaches is good or bad. But the one thing that I've told a lot of people too is like Rick did something very similar to Sin, where I have met Rick 4 times prior to going to Ohio Range Day last year. I had spoke to him on Instagram here and there about different things, but went up to talk to the man just to say hello, and the first words out of his mouth were, "Hey man, congrats on making GM." So like, that was one of the things too that I liked about what he's doing, because like I'm one of 300-400 guys out here. You've traveled across the world teaching people, and you remembered that I made GM, and you decided to say something, and like that to me spoke a lot about at least his character in that moment. So I've loved what he's doing, and I like supporting that company. And there's more of his classes that I want to take. I want to get my girlfriend out to some of his classes too, just to get her time to learn from somebody else other than me, because sometimes it can get stale learning from the one person. So I want to make sure she gets a little bit more variety of experience too.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, and sometimes, it's just not a good day to be teaching, right? You might go to the range, but it's like, yeah, it's not a good day.
Yeah, that's true too.
Yeah. But no, that's cool. Like, Ohio Range Day is cool. I'm hoping someday to actually go and maybe not even shoot the event, but be there, do my thing, do what I do, talk to people, network, all that cool stuff. But do you have?
They usually open up the third day. They usually open up the third day, which is sponsor day, for people to show up as well. So that'd be something you could look into if you want to kind of go there and kind of see what it's all about and talk to the people who are there.
Mm-hmm. Right. That might be a good idea, actually. So is PCC Nationals not in the cards for you then this year?
We'll see. I actually have to double check the dates. I don't remember when they are. That's just going to be a money thing because it's not in Ohio. If it was at Cardinal, then I would push super hard to go to that because that's easy. It's a 2.5 of 3 hour drive for me. Being in Alabama, now we're talking more time off work and we're talking more money for it. So that's less of a priority for me this year. It might be something I look into next year once I bank a little more vacation time and I can make it more feasible financially. But I'm one of those people that I love what I get to do shooting wise and in the sport, but I want to be a good shooter overall. That's why I took the bullet gun class. That's why I shoot rifles and pistols. A lot of the guys that I shoot with, they want to be, a national champ at USPSA Nationals, and that's awesome. I support those dudes all the way. That's not a priority for me. I want to do the best that I can at every match I go to. I want to, try and sweep all these majors that I'm going to go to. But for me, Nationals is a much bigger step forward financially, to where I'm not as in my head into the ground in the sport as some other people, where Nationals is my goal. If I can afford it, if I can swing the time, then yeah, sure, I'll absolutely go. But I like what I'm doing around the area, and it doesn't hurt my feelings to not get to go to that.
Right. Well, and you have different goals, right? Like, it's your goal is not necessarily be a national champion yet, but we'll get there, right? So I mean, go ahead.
That's me pushing for this whole 2-gun at PCSL too. A lot of that stemmed from I hosted with my friends last year a monthly rifle range day because I was tired of being the only one who wanted to shoot and train rifles. And I told all these guys, you all own an AR. Every single one of you. I know you do. I've seen it. Come out with me once a month and shoot rifles. And so they started to enjoy that. You're only shooting 100, 150 rounds a month. Like, it doesn't hurt financially. So a lot of them really enjoyed doing that. And the more we did it, Tim was one of the guys that came out there and did that. And I'm like, Tim, we need to shoot rifles at Harlan. Like, there's so many people that have an AR that would enjoy a carbine match. Shoot USPSA third Sunday, shoot something just AR carbine fourth Sunday. Like, I think a lot of people would enjoy that. And we finally got the board to give us a little bit of leeway. And thankfully that PCSL came out in that time and it was perfect. So I looked at that, what Max did. I'm like, this rule set is amazing. What he's done for this sport is amazing. What I'm able to do in terms of like hosting a 2-gun match would be awesome. And so now a lot of those guys that I did that monthly range day with, they're the ones that are kind of showing up and spreading the word, and they're enjoying the 2-gun side of it a lot too, because now it's not just another USPSA Pistol Sunday. Now it's, oh crap, I got to do 2 stage briefs on one stage for both guns and sort out how I want to do all these problems and obstacles, and it's been a lot of fun to get to do stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. No, that is definitely cool. Good aspirations on you for wanting to take up that mantle and run that match, and give people something to do with rifles. So, Riley, this is the part where we're kind of wrap it up. But so remind the people where and when your matches are.
So, Fort Wayne Rifle and Revolver Club, our USPSA match is every third Sunday in Harlan, Indiana, and then our PCSL match is every fourth Sunday. So whatever those dates correlate with. We start shooting by or before 10 o'clock, so usually do shooters meeting around 9:30. I preloaded all my matches on USPSA on Practice Score for PCSL. So if you search Fort Wayne on Practice Score, you'll find all of my matches on there. And then Tim, usually a week after each match, Tim will put up the USPSA on Practice Score. And it's, like we mentioned earlier, both have been growing. USPSA has been growing really big. PCSL is going to hopefully get there slowly. So,
yeah, and it'll take time, right? It grows and grows, right?
Yep.
Right. So Riley, if people want to get a hold of you, chit chat about rifles, whatever, Ohio Range Day, whatever you want to talk about, where's the best place to get a hold of you?
Probably Instagram. My shooting page on Instagram is Romeo_Foxtrot_shooting. So Riley Fox, Romeo Foxtrot. I have 4 Instagram pages total. So if you search Riley Fox, you'll find I've got 2 different photography pages, a shooting page and a personal page. So don't hit me up on my personal page because I keep that private for a reason. But my shooting page, that's open to the public. I love talking with people about anything guns or photography or whatever. So.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And no, that's cool. So people, if you want to talk about rifles, whatever with Riley, hit him up. Go check out their matches in Fort Wayne, Indiana. And Riley, brother, thank you for your time and hanging out with me. It's been a blast.
Absolutely. I appreciate the invite, man.
No problem. It's always good. I'm going to have to make a trip down there. I'm not that far from Fort Wayne, so I just got to do it.
That'd be awesome.
Yep. So, brother, you take it easy. And listeners, get out and do the things. I'm going to see you on the next one.
Cool. Take care.